Sandy Munro is going to be here for his monthly segment here on E4Electric that we called Teardown with Sandy Munro. We're going to be talking about the future of electric car battery tech, something that we, really need to happen relatively soon, because this is one of those shortcomings that kind of separate the electric cars from, being pretty much better than every single electric car out there. Obviously, we want faster charging times, longer range, and so forth. And there are a lot of technologies out there that kind of on the verge of the breakthrough, but I'm going to talk to Sandy and see if he believes that something's going to be happening pretty soon. We're going to talk about solid state batteries. We're going to talk about the Maxwell acquisition by Tesla, and a few other topics. As you know, Sandy is one of the a few new contributors to this channel that also include Rich Rebuilds. His second episode is going to be airing later this month, and of course the CEO of Teardown Future, Karsten Breitfeld. So if there was ever reason to subscribe to this channel, it's definitely now. So don't forget to click on that subscribe button, and if you already have, then don't forget the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, before I bring in Sandy, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Byton. Check out their all-electric SUV called M-Byte, coming to the US and Europe next year. I cannot wait to get mine. I just got it behind the wheel of pilot production M-Byte, and it's absolutely amazing. I strongly suggest you reserve yours and join myself and tens of thousands of other people who've done so. It costs you absolutely no money and about a minute of your time. The link is in the description of this video. All right, without further ado, let me bring in Sandy Munro and talk about the electric car battery tech. Sandy, welcome back to your segment here on E4Electric.
Well, thanks very much for inviting me again, Alex.
People loved our first segment, so I'm excited to get this one going. And today we're talking about, battery technology in 2020. I can't believe it's 2020, but, there's been a major, obviously, progress in the last 10 years in the lithium-ion battery technology. That's why we even can have the electric cars and have this conversation. But everyone feels that we're on the verge of another breakthrough. Either this Maxwell technology that Tesla acquired or solid state battery. Where do you think we're set here as far as a breakthrough, and will we really have one, or do you think it's just going to be a steady climb to better and better range and better technology?
Well, first off, I don't think anything is going to happen this year that's going to be revolutionary, or 2020. I don't think. Basically what it boils right down to is that solid state batteries are not around. There, lots of people talk, and a couple of professors will, expound a theory or something, but there's nothing here yet, nothing that we know about. My guess is that the real technology that everyone's going to try and focus on is going to have something to do with getting rid of cobalt. That's what the big that'll drop the price of the batteries. If we can do that, then that'll be something that maybe we could look forward in 2020. But I'm really about I don't think we're going to see any lithium-ion batteries, or sorry, solid-state batteries that are going to take the place of lithium-ion.
Wow, that is interesting. So that definitely leaves us with just a solid, progress that everybody's just gonna have to make. And obviously Tesla is on the front, sort of front lines with that. But what do you think about
Panasonic, right? Panasonic.
Yes, Panasonic. The reason I'm saying Tesla is because it looks like they're going to be manufacturing their own, battery cells at some point with the Maxwell technology. Have you looked into that? I mean, do you think that Maxwell technology really is a big step forward for Tesla and is worth maybe switching from Panasonic or other battery cell providers?
Well, Maxwell is, lots of people have looked at them and thought that their technology was better. Actually, one of my, he was on before. His name's Mark Ellis. He is the battery expert at Munro and Associates. He thought that Maxwell's technology has a lot of promise, but they've, since Tesla acquired them, they've gone cold. They don't talk too much. So we know what did happen. We just don't know what's happening now. And we know that if Tesla's putting money into it, they're probably going to come up with a surprise, no question about it. But I don't think the surprise is going to be, guess what? We have solid state battery.
Okay, now let's talk about other manufacturers. There's obviously, besides Panasonic, there is LG Chem and Samsung SDI and so forth. Are they that much behind Panasonic, or are they relatively on par? And is there a really difference at this point between those providers?
They're different. There's not that much in a way of power generation or power storage that's different about them. The big thing is profile and weight. And so if you look at the Tesla Model 3's battery pack, or any of the battery packs now that are coming out at 2071 2170 batteries, then you're looking basically at power density that's about as good as anybody's got. And what's nice is it's got a low profile, so I could double stack them. I could double stack a battery and a Tesla battery, and be as high as say LG or Samsung or BYD or anybody else for that matter, and but I would get like a lot more energy out of it. So I think that basically they probably all got something. It's just that I like the jelly roll batteries better than the pouch batteries. I can design a car better with that.
How so? Talk a little bit about that, because I don't even know that much of that, like what the advantages are. Can you tell us a little bit more?
Well, pouch batteries are thicker. They're taller. Okay, they take up about twice the height. So you're looking at about 120, 130, maybe even 140 millimeters high, and whereas the jelly roll, or the cylindrical batteries, I shouldn't call them jelly rolls, but the cylindrical batteries, they're only 70 millimeters. They're half the height. So I can use that for packaging advantages when I'm building a car or designing a car. So to me, I like the lower profile better.
So let's talk a little bit about that, because I think sometimes people confuse, and I've done it, for a little bit until I get a little bit more educated, that, battery cells, the actual cells, is different than what we call batteries in the cars, because batteries in the cars are actually when you put them together in modules and, have a cooling system and everything. Do you think there are advantages that, Tesla or Rivian or other manufacturers have there, taking the same essentially technology in a battery, but then getting so much more out of it, the way they put the battery pack together, and then implement the thermal management system on top of that?
Yeah, well, thermal management is a big deal. That is what's going to give you longevity through the battery pack, and quite frankly, that's the first and foremost thing you do when you're designing a vehicle, is to try and figure out, how am I going to keep these things cool in the summertime, and what am I going to do to warm them up in the winter? And again, I like the fact that, warming the battery comes from stalling the electric motor in the Tesla. Nobody's got that. I like that idea. I like it a lot. So that kind of stuff makes a lot of sense to me. I think that Tesla is good at coming up with very new and innovative kind of ideas when it comes to the way that they design their products. I don't know. I just don't see too many other people jumping in and doing things that they're doing. A lot of them we've talked about for eons. Decades of a conversation about how should an electric motor be designed, how should a battery pack be designed, how should a battery be designed. But the implementation, usually what winds up happening is some executive says, "Wow, wait a minute, we can save that money and I can get a bonus," and that's the end of that. So, like I say, Tesla doesn't seem to have any fear when it comes to jumping in and trying out a new technology, whereas everybody else is a little bit nervous about that sort of stuff.
Now, let's talk about a little bit about the thermal management in terms of just kind of how it works. So, correct me if I'm wrong, most manufacturers are trying to keep obviously the battery cell temperature to the one that it's the most
Optimal.
optimal for it. And but at the same time, they're not really trying to keep it within 1 or 2 degrees. And I'm talking about Celsius, right? We're talking about like 10 to 20 degrees Celsius. Isn't that correct? Then isn't that a pretty big range? One, and secondly, why not? Why not keep it to just a few degrees? Because I'm assuming you get 5-10 degrees off, and obviously the optimal is no longer optimal.
If you're plugged in and you're charging and stuff like that, staying optimal is no problem whatsoever. Once you're actually operating, cold weather, well, that can drop your range by 50% easily. In fact, one of my guys, a guy named David Oberholzer, we lovingly refer to him as Obi-Wan. He's kind of he's got a Tesla 3. He was right there when we first looked at the first one and said basically the same thing. What are these guys thinking? I mean, this is a terrible body design. But now he owns one, and he's very, very happy with it. I think it changed his whole lifestyle, actually. So I think that he is pretty honest when it comes to what's this thing like to drive in the winter and the summer and stuff like that. In the summer, he gets twice the mileage that he does out of the winter. We have a pretty severe. It gets cold in Michigan, and that's his findings. I know that's kind of like empirical data, but at the end of the day, for me, that's the best. I want real data, and that's what Obi-Wan's. He's an engineer, and he's well respected, and so I trust he knows what he's talking about.
So you're saying there is really, I mean, I understand about when the car's charging, it's much easier, but when the car's actually moving and it needs to cool down or heat up the battery to maintain it at the optimal temperature, the range, again, it kind of, to me, was kind of weird to know that it's 10 to 20 degree range, which is definitely not optimal. That's why I was kind of
Oh yeah, but as soon as you start driving, then it's gonna optimize the temperature for the battery, and when it does that, things happen. You take more juice out of the battery, and so consequently you don't get the range, or you don't get the range. And if it's in some cars that are using the battery for heating and cooling fluids or PTC heaters and things like that, then that also sucks away some of the energy. So if you want to stay warm and you want to drive, then you're gonna wind up seeing your battery drop down quicker.
All right, and so now there's another part of this technology is obviously the cooling or heating liquid that you put through the battery. Some brands, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, have pretty much one either switch, either it's cool or it's hot. But some brands are actually trying to regulate the temperature and saying, well, maybe we'll set it at not as hot or not as cool, and we can regulate the temperature of the cooling liquid to save some energy from the battery. Can you talk a little bit about that, and if there's any truth to or any advantage to one over the other?
Well, you always, as soon as you're riding, as soon as you start driving your vehicle, you're going to be trying to optimize the battery temperature. So for cooling, there's a radiator in the front of the vehicle, and you pump hot fluid through the radiator. It gets cool, and there you are. If it's cold outside, first off, you're going to be sending some extra electricity through the heater that you've got. There's a it's a coolant to I think it's coolant to coolant kind of heating system that normally is being used. Sometimes we use transmission fluid as well. So you've got different heat exchangers inside the vehicle, depending on whatever the design is, and those different heat exchangers then will either heat up or cool down the battery. But I trust me, everybody tries to get it to within a few degrees once you start driving the vehicle.
All right.
You have to either heat it up or cool it down. But everybody's got systems inside to either heat up the coolant or reduce its temperature.
Right. But when we talk about electric cars, it's not just a radiator, right? I mean, there's still a cooling system that will cool the, actively cool the liquid down.
That is the radiator. Yeah, the radiator is what's going to be cooling it down. There's no refrigerator or something inside the vehicle. You basically are cooling it with the radiator.
All right. So just to distinguish this, we're not talking about the. I thought you meant the radiator that we have on the front of the car where the grill would be.
It is.
But
yeah, but you have. It's not. There's no grill needed because you're not trying to cool down something that's 1,200 degrees. You're trying to cool something that's going to be maybe 200 degrees, maybe tops. I don't think it's even going to be that hot. So you're really not you're not seeing the same degree of cooling that you need with a battery vehicle as what you'd see with the ICE vehicle. So but it still has a radiator, trust me.
All right. Well, listen, this is all very fascinating stuff. Maybe it's I really thought that the solid state battery technology was like right around the corner. So you kind of stepped on my dreams and hopes today, but that's okay. I like reality.
That's what I do for a living. I do this for a living.
I know. You do this for a living. This is why you're here, to set us all straight. So, but I
will tell you one thing, Alex. We did have a lady who said she did have a solid state battery, and if you think I can crush a dream, you should see my buddy Mark Ellis. He knows how to flatten a dream like nobody can do it like him. So anyway, she came in with this thing. He asked a couple of questions, and then she vanished. And I mean that sincerely. I don't know where she went to, but she's not around anymore. So
I will take reality over the dreams, and I think this is what your segment is all about. Thank you once again, for hanging out with me, and I'm looking forward to the next topic that we're going to explore next month. So thanks so much for being here, and have a great the rest of your month.
Well, thank you. And once again, Alex, I am looking for that free Tesla truck when you get it. Okay, great.
Absolutely. Yes, I will. I'm working on that. All right.
Okay, good.
I will see you later.
All righty. So long.
All right, it's always great to have him here. He definitely have surprised me once again and stepped on my hopes and dreams. Yes, but at the same time, I better live in reality and sort of maybe curve my enthusiasm, as I guess they say. Let me know in the comment section if there are some questions that I maybe forgot or didn't ask, and some suggestions for the future topics, because he's going to be here every month, and I'm really excited about it. Once again, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, this would be a great time. There is a subscribe button down there, and if you already have, of course, click on the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. And I want to thank one of my newer Patreons, Mia. Thank you so much for joining my Patreon community. That and my sponsor is how I basically make a living, and that's how I'm able to bring you guys electric car news every day. I don't think I've skipped a day, including weekends, holidays, my hospital stays, whatever's happening, it's going to be right there in your inbox. And I've been doing it for over 2 years now, every day. So thank you to you guys. I really appreciate it. If you want to join my Patreon community, go to the description of this video. And one of the perks is at the highest level of $5 a month, you can watch me live and have, of course, first access to all of my videos. All right, looking forward to your comments, looking forward to your suggestions. Other than that, see you next time, and remember to stay charged.